All right, time for our top stories. Yeah, we're getting to the halfway point of the presentation here. And Forrest, in terms of top stories, this is the one that just broke my back, man. When I hear about small mom and pop restaurants getting popped and getting breached, I get so frustrated and angry. So, to try to explain this to you and the audience, folks, you have to understand, you have platforms like Grubhub and DoorDash, these online ordering platforms. They're behemoths companies, right? Mm-hmm. And if you've ever ordered from them, have you ordered from them?
I leave those applications to my wife. She's more app savvy as far as that goes.
Forrest, the fees on some of these like Grubhub is just outrageous. So there's a lot of smaller online ordering platforms that are out there. And it's not just DoorDash and Grubhub, but these smaller online ordering platforms may have vulnerabilities. And what happened in the news over the last 6 months is Gemini put out an advisory about 5 of these companies that got popped. And these online ordering platforms, Easy Ordering, Menu Safu, eDining Express, Food Dudes Delivery, Grabbull, these guys all got breached. Now, the attack space for card present versus card not present, you're going to start to see and hear more of these types of attacks that emanate out of the shopping cart. And what's really cool is I know we here at SecurityMetrics have a security, how do I describe it? A shopping cart
monitor.
Tool. Monitor tool. Which is, I played around with it for a little bit and it's really cool. I mean, it actually looks at the code and the transactional data that happens when a customer orders something online. It looks at that code and it determines whether or not it's been maliciously altered or not.
Yeah. It's interesting watching these things go from physical skimmers. Physical skimmers were all the rage, like 3 years ago?
In your gas, you go to the gas pump, folks, and you see these skimmers. But now the skimmer is like MageCart, for example, is what's being impacted.
Yeah. So you're going from physical skimmers to online skimmers at checkout. And it's just the parallel is right there, just 1-to-1, where they're getting all the information that they need to be able to run that transaction. It's a very attractive target because, like you said, a lot of these restaurants are just small mom and pop shops, whatever. They're not big national chains or franchises or whatever. So they're left to find whatever solution they can to be able to maintain. And especially with COVID, the online ordering and delivery and all that, like that was, you had to either adapt or die, And so a lot of these companies were in very dire straits. So you just go for the one you can afford and, hope that it works. And unfortunately, some of these companies ended up getting burned because these services were targeted and breached. And it just.
Yeah, and these 5 online ordering platforms that were part of this breach, you have to understand, folks, that what the bad guys will do, the threat actors will do, is they will pivot. They will use that moment of getting in through the online ordering system and then pivot into the restaurant's environment. So 70 restaurants were allegedly caught up in these breaches over the last 6 months from these 5 online vendors. What's interesting is these vendors themselves, and we'll put up a graphic here for you to take a look at. What's interesting is these 5 vendors, they're all centrally kind of located in the same geographic region of the country. And that's where the story gets a little interesting. One of the vendors, MCPOS, actually licensed their online ordering platform from China. So there's some story going on there too. But again, what we want to talk about here is the geographic dispersal. And we'll put up this map that you can take a look at here. If you notice, most of these online ordering platforms that were exposed and breached are all located in the vicinity of the service provider's headquarters. So if you look at it like Grabbull and Food Dudes Delivery, primarily in the Midwest, we're talking Chicago, Minnesota area, which is where they're happening. There's some thought also that perhaps that these companies, they spend a little bit more time advertising and marketing their products in these regions of the country. But there's so much interesting stuff here, folks, from a lessons learned. And whenever you go out and you decide to buy some sort of software or tool for your environment, you have to do your due diligence, folks. You've got to spend a little bit of extra time on the security governance piece and do the security review. Look at look at the information that's being presented to you. How do they transmit your data? How do they do it in transit? How do they do it at rest, at in transit? What kind of score does the vendor have that you're choosing to bring into your environment? And not only that, but then you also have to step up your routine monitoring. You've got to take some energy and effort into that piece of the equation. So,
from the consumer side of things, try and see if you can employ some kind of ephemeral payment card number. Some companies will generate new single-use card numbers. That way, if one of these does end up getting popped, then it's useless. Like, you've used it for that transaction, it's now burned, and nothing's lost for you at that point.
And I will say this before we get off this subject, Forrest, if you're a retailer out there and you're using if you're a retailer, if you're a restaurateur, if you're a bank, taking a look at what we do in the shopping cart monitor, that we have a product that can actually help uncover these types of attacks. And that was the first thing, Forrest, that popped in my mind. The minute I read about these 5, I said, oh my gosh, this is what SecurityMetrics, our security shopping cart product, could have stopped and prevented this stuff. So, all right, I'm off my soapbox.